Good afternoon. This is the second segment uh, in the way I'm presenting, bringing the people in our industry, colored gemstones, minerals, jewelry, collectibles, specimens, into the time and period in our 45 years of business since 1977 to the present day AI, artificial intelligence, and all this existing elements here, I'm welcoming them with really warm hugs and warm embraces because this is the time and period where our industry, with the such rich variety of products and collectability and saleability and the industry at large, and for the longest time has been most chaotic. Just talk about quickly about diamonds. From the time we know about diamonds and during our time, with the rise of the diamond coming out from Russia, with the diamond coming out, color diamonds coming out from Argyle diamonds from Australia, by seeding their white diamond to the Indian industry and just focus on the color diamonds, there's the whole dynamic, the balances with the world's tabulation and calculation and where where is our destination. Of course, there's other people, the opportunity, who have exploited the unknown or less known of the global market. So there's two school of thoughts: to thriving in the chaos where you have a control of the supply sources in the market, and then you obviously you want that market to continue to be in that chaotic situation. Versus now today, people will have to know in what we have. Even at 40 some years ago, my own niece was a kind of a jokingly, Uncle Paul, you're trying to put the market into the commodity model. No, I have no reason to emulate the commodity, nor do I care about the stock market. What is exciting is when you can create your own ambience. Number one, I love the industry because of curiosity. With the stone, the color, the formation, its mineral traces, and its marketplace and history. You're talking about the blue diamond. You're talking about the Hope diamond and the various discrepancies, the manipulation, the stealing. Diamond can be taken and then cut it down to smaller sizes. Then you just lost the track and trace of the minerals. But today you can have the magnification. You can have the internal GPS footage of every stone. So even when you take it up into a fragment, that pigmentation, that technologically driven a stone GPS can be tracked and traced. So how wonderful, because of this many variables have produced the many adventurers or businessmen, entrepreneurs trying to put it in the right place. Case in point, the Chinese now synthetic diamonds. What is the terminology? What is the detecting mechanism? How can we structure a language to determine the natural and the synthetic? They may all be the same. Of course, all this arbitration, all this question, more the question mark, the more the devices will be coming up to handle what we have. So I'm going back to give you my version of the way I interpret about the data coming in is absolutely incredible. Number one, when we started in data, what was data? It was basically Microsoft spreadsheets. Okay, all the spreadsheets, planilha in Portuguese, how we can put from data to images now. The whole action when we started in 1977 and 14 years later with quite a bit of success with the two or three colors from Brazil, and then showed up 1991, the internet, and then the Microsoft 2 software I mentioned repeatedly about the words and the spreadsheets. The spreadsheets just growing from spreadsheet now to data. I put this into this cultural zone that I hope all our participants will share. This is this atmosphere of the big data. And also, more importantly, with all the cloud storage, that's where all the big data can be in a concentrated cloud, and all the data can be into this zone. More than that, I already embraced, I trademarked GPT. So whatever language we can add to our trace and track of the language of the involving stones, along with the existing, the AI. That, I mean, we talk about the existing system of the AI system that hosting the GPT. We can incorporate. So all the language eventually will be on your fingertips. Imagine you will be able to track and trace every single stone tracked and traced, as long as you're willing to put it on the public domain. What is a public domain? First of all, let me just explain to you in the 8 platforms. All these platforms are into precisely the existing language today. The first platform I talk about, a Gemboard, Gemmboard. You throw this image. All you need to do is the image. Of course, you want to do a better image. For example, a big crystal, a big collection, use the scanner. Have the entire object scanned, and then how do you want to have that package? So you would talk about the net weight of the specimen. Then you can using foam, you can use whatever the box encaged in. Using foam is a good form. So in all the scanning and gemstones, you can take the picture, and yet you can have a rotation in a smaller speed. You can have all dimensions of the stones, top to bottom, the table, the depth, the girdle, or the other facets on the side, into a very clear language. For as long as you get the picture and the image into the board, you will be all kind of a platform you can use, and then the rest you will talk about who will be interested, who are the buyers. Now here comes the point: when you have the pictured image and your value you want to obtain, that value is called FOB. So I'm using what I'm doing this in a personal mission, that I love to work with my garimperos, because these are the discoverers, these are the explorers, these are the people that have the nose on the ground, and they can smell the other mining activities and the site, the peripheral gemstones. All this, they can put a picture of a group of stones, say be that 1 kilo, 10 kilo, 100 kilo, 1 ton. Well, here's the picture. And I would like 25 cents per carat. Turns 20 times 5, $1 a gram, or $1,000 a kilo. So all those conversions, once you are being able to present what you have, the next step is all about the global demand. So when you have the show and tell, you have the purchasing interested, you can go into a Zoom meeting, talk it out. If you don't have the language, you need Chinese, get somebody like me or my team, or people who need Portuguese, we're Portuguese speaking bilinguals, Spanish trilinguals. You establish what you want, and then the next is logistics. Maybe the buyer is want to see a great terrain where you find your minerals, because they will have to know, what if somebody finds the same thing nearby, another pocket, as I said before. A new product, a new vein, a new mine can make your existing products competitive, or you make it obsolete. In my case, I just talked about this an hour ago, how I get moving with my amethyst. But my impact in a short 5 to 8 year period did not wreck the existing amethyst productions in the southern part of Brazil. in area Iraí, in nearby the state of Santa Catarina, Paraná, in the region of the southern Brazilian Amethyst Zone, nor the other productions in general in the northern part, all depending the power, the quantity, and the duration. So, but be mindful of that, because if a Chinese found your pocket of ruthless quartz, the golden colors are wonderful. Well, he may want to come to Brazil and find out what are the possibilities. Are there any other garimpos? But by what mechanism? By what methodology? Today, instead of scouting the entire area, you can use the Chinese drone. Check, double check. You selling your products may be able to broker another group, so you're forming the alliance. That's what I created GGMBA, double G, Gem and Minerals Business Alliance. We can form alliances, temporary, with continuity, with a global collaboration. That's the first maneuver. Once you articulate what you want, the rest is come to logistics. Do not worry. There are enough logistic company other than UPS, other than FedEx, the Brazilian Post Office, the American Post Office, the global post system, plus now the newly developed Chinese logistics. They may come to Brazil. They may come to Chile. They may come to Latin America. For as long as they know the size, the quantity, and the volume that will sustain their business, we can broker into the Brazilian market, or forming alliance, again, partners in Brazil. Another way of thinking, talking about in the logistics, how to deliver the product that people like, from smaller quantity, where you can using higher efficiency, more high value companies such as Brinks, commercial flights. And depending on the volume, the industry can develop flight operations from Minas to Rio Grande do Sul to all part of Brazil in mineral roughs and cuts. So what is the next facility that we can talk about this collaboration between the GGMBA Brazil or GGMBA China? Let's take the module of the global free trade zones from Dubai to China. Get three of them nearby Shanghai, next between Macau and Zhuhai and Hong Kong. Now they have a new free zone in the island of Hainan. What if the system of the free zone, we can find a coalition, we can find a team of the free zones, take one from Europe, China, Asia, Thailand, wherever, and then form another trade zone in Brazil. Let's use the free zone, not physical, but the transaction of the material, the deposits. You can be at 50 to 100 level with the offices, or you can have the ground as big as we can do for samples. If we can make the free zones not a physical free zone, because I can imagine the logistics for Brazil. People get to go to the free zone in a Minas state, or go to somewhere in BH or Belo Horizonte, or go to southern part of Brazil, like Rio Grande do Sul, the region of the Amethyst. If the free zone can be registered, number one, a physical registry of your company, your registry in your country. And if the free zone in Brazil also allow, or China allow, a foreign company register in that neutral zone, commercial zone, to have their products. So if my company exporting my amethyst from let's say Lajeado, Soledade to Zona Franca, to the free zone of Zhuhai, Macau, Hong Kong, in the southern region, so people know, oh, this is $2 a carat, just an example, just grab a number, or $10 a carat, landed in China will be, maybe $1.50, or $2, maybe 10 cents logistic cost. But don't forget, and then that price will be also be leaving China in the free zone at that price, 20% over. Let me repeat, $1, put $1.20 just the freight. Well, but if you want to take that into China, then they will have to pay the import duty. This, by using the free zones existing system and combine them into a unified code system, this will let our industry moving much quicker other than our personal in and out. Yes, some people say for security reasons, I feel better closer to me. You have always have that option. Okay. And people can use it for tax advantages. People say that I don't want to pay income tax, my stone being shipped to Switzerland. And the buyer can take into different country zone where they think is advantageous. But regardless, if you're registered to the trade zone, you are resident or citizen of the country, in the longer run on your transactions, the database will show where your profitability eventually going to be. And then the Jamboard is basically giving the world vendors and buyers a trading zone. Would that becoming eventually a speculation? People trying to play the market, trying to corner when a new product, a limited stone came up, such in the case before like Tanzanite, or in the case with the Paraíba tourmaline. Well, we named it Paraíba, just a regional stone with the presence. I'm not quite all that I'm speaking is an articulate when the presence of the platinum or a presence of a metal into the component of the tourmalines in Brazil from Paraíba. The stone, when I first started, I was laughing. When I first bought my first 1 carat, 2 carat stones 20 years ago, it was like $200 a carat. We said, are you out of your mind? I mean, that's the most expensive tourmalines, never fetched that market. Today, a 6 carat Paraíba tourmaline can be $6,000. And now you have the tourmalines bearing a similar hue of color coming off of Mozambique and coming off of other part of Africa that we have yet known. So when that surfaces, the stone coming up, and then people will say, I will only take that stone, then we will only use that stone under a certain kind of a testing or gemological laboratory. Okay. Speaking of gemological laboratory, there's another form of logistics. Many years ago, when we were cutting amethyst, and also we were cutting the quantity of topazes when it first came out. If I remember just one comment, when we first buying the white topaz from the region called Marambaya in between Minas Gerais and Bahia, I was paying at the top price. We bought hundreds of kilograms, starting at $60 per kilogram. And remember, just a rule of thumb, 1 kilo of stones equal to 5,000 carats. Okay, if you can cut 20%, just the rule of thumb, again, it's not fixed, 1 gram, 1 carat. So you get 1,000 grams, 5,000 carats, 20%, then 1,000 carats of stones. But by the time we started, in less than 2.5 years, somebody were bidding to a couple larger brownish stones, supposedly that will give color, up to $400 per kilogram. So you just have to eat crow sometimes. Oh my God, I'm having a bonanza. I'm having a wonderful monopoly buying white topaz at $60 a kilo. Well, by the same area, when you don't have that kind of a control, nobody can have that kind of control. We end up buying from 60 to 150, 200, 300, and then when the top brownish color, which were proven to give the best color in the linear accelerator, then it was a good quality rough. When eventually the same treatment from linear accelerator, not same treatment, using the nuclear reactor, we have used the same treatment in Buchsal in Germany during our time when I was partnering up with Helmut Zimmermann from Germany, and his partner from the San Carlos Apache Native American groups. when they were still involving in the turquoise and the peridot olivines from the region. But history took us into to learn to like, dislike, and be upset. Okay, imagine when I found my amethyst being produced at $3 a carat, $5 a carat, at the cost of $1. The owners of the Brazilian may find the impact, or the people from southern part of Brazil. But remember your status. Where do you where do you what is your investment? Okay, the investment, depending on the terrain of the area. Many times I was offered by the big mining companies to take over their final pockets of crystal phrase in Brazil, for example. Basically, they want to give it for free, but they know that we had to put up the infrastructure for mining. We had to put up the fence, because otherwise speculators, adventurers coming into nighttime trying to steal, they can fall into the pockets and holes and ravines, and then the company become liable. So there's a string of events that happens with mining in the major mining scale, and then we are the secondary miners with the offsets from the main mining. This is all part of the Gemmeconomics. May not be the economics of the major or somebody already involving the diamond end of it, but I think each one of us, we're entitled to form our little company. We're entitled to form our groups. And that was what the most fascinating, as a psychologist, as a psycholinguistic psychologist coming into the gem trade, I found out, wow, what a freedom, what the audacity of the miners in Brazil named garimpeiros. Because Serra Pelada was another. We look at the ecological disaster it had caused, but at the same time, look at how many these people that came to the mining, with the amount of gold found in Brazil. And this is a kind of the spirit. When I jumped ship from the college, the bureaucracy, the system of the complacency of the people with titles, names, and doing cheating, stealing, and finagling, well, even with me finding a very, very viable doctoral program to launch my 3C program, I said, the hell with this, folks. The freedom ultimately won me over the spirit. Riding on the bus ride 24 hours from Sao Paulo to Minas with $3,000, and doubling every 3 weeks to 4 weeks, from 3,000 to 6,000, from 6,000 to 12,000 to 30,000 in less than 6 months. Now, this is the part where I took off with that kind of economic vitality at a time when America is the richest country, and hosting many of these color stones and be home hobbyists, stone polisher, creating shows, small shows in every state, every province. And then the major gem show that we have participated over 20 years in Tucson. In what we do in 10 days in Tucson is the double our retail shop gross of the entire year, which give us the time continue to our presentation as a retail business. But under the retail, we have 6 people operating, sorting stones, classify stones, labeling stones, and one by one, we open up our volume sales, you may call it wholesale, to company like Shopper Image. Company from Shopper Image, take good care of your customers, handle your business with intelligence, be flexible. We took back all the big stone they bought from the other that were not moving. We took it back because I can then resell it to Thailand or China to recut our stones, give them the credit for the stone sizes that they wanted. That also give us a definition of a company. What do they want? And by this service to the Thalheimers, and we're even laughing at each other, where did we ship the stone? They're big magazine everywhere. I respect Richard Thalheimers and his first, magazine marketing on loose color stones. Imagine that in all the flights, and we ship all stone to Arkansas, their operation center. And because the good service, because taking back the stones that they have bought in the beginning from other vendors, we take even the bigger stones, we have gained customers. But more than that, he gave me the definition. Then we know a bracket, the stones from 8-9 carat to about 22 carats above the size zone. So we can pre-sort it, and then we can cut stone to that particular market niche. In what we do for Shopper Image, on 1-2 cent week, he walked somebody else in, unbeknown to us. Talk about Greyhound leisure travel. Well, we said, okay, we're happy to entertain this customer. However, they don't buy. They just want consignments. But after we find out the Greyhound leisure travel is consigning stones, amethyst, citrine, the beginning topaz, all starting to come. Then they have 6 ships in Fort Lauderdale. And in 5 years, we stock all the ships, an open account, but they are very diligent. During the week, whatever is sold on those ships, they will make a copy and they will circle what is sold along with the check. So in other words, we're much quicker cash flow with the same margin, 300%. By taking care of Shopper Image, we gain Greyhound leisure travel. And later on, from that 3 to 5 ships, when they took over by Carnival, we had over 25 ships to support. And by the same token, by the same time, they both are important. But there's just as important when we consign our stones to Alaska and with the volume consigning. We don't ask for a dime. Beginning of the May, June, July, April, and like we collect September, we get check coming in on a regular basis. That's how we have amplified in the $1 cost average with 4 to 5 colors: blue topaz, London blue, sky blue. Eventually, the combination of the treatment come out to be the Swiss blue, which we had one of the early starters by taking all the rejects from the topaz, white topaz, sent to Sao Paulo with a company called Embarahage's Empresa Brasileira de Irradiação, irradiation. They do the Cobalt 60, treating basically medical equipments. When all the stone from the Brazilian, from Minas, shipped to Sao Paulo to be treated into the facility, some of them come out beautiful blue, Swiss blue, but for many of them, or 50%, will be rejected, remain grayish, brownish, smoky quartz kind of color. Well, we test the first round by taking 1 kilo of that material I shipped to San Diego, have it treated linear accelerator. We get 80% color, including the early part, so-called Swiss blue. Again, I think life is a series of sequencing of events. In every situation, there's the cultural sphere of the Shopper Image, the purchasing focus, and then moving into the Greyhound leisure travel, the cruise ships, and the size that they want. Yes, we every now and then we ship them a 200 carat amethyst. It's just a show and tell. You know, a big citrine. Citrine is a burnt, heated amethyst. In that, each group and their culture, they're all different. And based on our production and not worrying about if any stones being packed erroneously, not even by me. I took back all the stone from Shopper Image because chipped. We can send it back to recut in Thailand with the duty-free shipment to Bangkok into Chiang Rai. Eventually, we also have done the same thing from Hong Kong into the lapidary factories in mainland China, predominantly in Guangzhou, in the nearby nearby Guangzhou City, nearby Macau, and also Hong Kong. The Pearl River Delta. I'm not trying to grab any credit to say I'm the pioneer. There are many of the Brazilian garimpeiros, by not even speaking a word of English, have gone to Hong Kong, have done the show eventually. And now this Hong Kong show, the Hong Kong jewelry show, started by 26 of us in the Hotel Sheraton. Now it's 2,500 exhibitors. And by the same format where we hooked up to with the Asian Institute of Gemological Science, known by the family of the Ho, Mr. Ho, and Henry Ho, and Stanley Ho, we become good friends. But what in that sense, we're watching their development where they have created the gem exchange, allow the vendor and the buyer meet directly in the office. Well, practically, that's how the gem trade happened based on our experience in Brazil. You can buy in the open market, like the Pracinha, in Teofilo Otoni, and you can do the same thing in the Governador Valadares, where I had an office for 10 years. I'm there because I might be closest. At that time, the dollar exchange, which happened with a family named Shang, or Chang, we become good friends. And then this dollar man eventually become the owners of one of the largest Alexandrite mines in Brazil, in the area called Nova Era, halfway between Belo Horizonte coming up to Governador Valadares. But every one of these events, you see people gone big, gone huge. Some Brazilians took the minerals by containers and heading into Hong Kong with the partnership with José Fabrin coming up from the southern part of Brazil. I have learned one thing, that never get upset if somebody had moved ahead of you, had grown bigger than you, because of know-how, because of availability, because they have the geographic advantage. In this particular team, I'm talking about José Fabrin, Marupiara from Porto Alegre, and they're teaming up with the people from Minas Gerais. And for a while, they're growing a really huge presence in all the shows with a tremendous amount of the minerals in raw and warehouse, expensive landscape in Hong Kong, in Hong Kong. I have learned that very quietly that I was making money with another form in another cycle. Case in point, because my workmanship, my working with the China Arts and Craft branch in China, the China Arts and Craft from Beijing took me on to ask me to stay behind for 1 week. I was at the best lodging, the first American hotel, with the pool, with all my back pain, then a little heavier, a little more trouble. I stayed with the military barrack. And by what I have helped them in translation, both in reading, speaking, with the incoming very quiet, very muted American group of businessmen. Well, after that service, I was given the privilege to go into a inner vault in the Forbidden City when I had made my first $600,000 purchase for the business in Palm Beach, Le Gem, with my partner Robert Burney from Chicago origin, the Burney Brothers Bakery, eventually absorbed by other major conglomerates. So the event happened in the same time when other people were flourishing in the trade. By the same token, I was retained by the Chinese in helping a team of Russians where there is a $60 million debt since 1945, 46, 48, or in the 50s. And this group of the Russians were ready, allowed to have a credit line to credit $60 million to any purchase, but their allocation was primarily into the area of luxury items. I do not have to review what is the commission based on me. What we have done for the Russians, I'm commissioned by the Russians, but I took my credit in all the vaults. And in what I have done in this particular job, all the conversion, we're talking about rugs, 100% silk rugs or 80% silk rugs that come to 480 knots per inch and the size of 20 foot, even by commission. By guiding these Russian groups, I was invited back to Austria various times, but never set foot in the Soviet Union at that particular time and point. That arrangement where I have guided the Russian to put all the money, the most of the money, to purchasing the most luxurious items, China made, sometimes a manufacturing error based on the loss in translations, a complete set in the French Versailles, sitting 24, all table carved with center bars and inlays with pieces of cloisonne, with the finest polish, the finest workmanship. But when they make the table, they make an error. Instead of the old archback of the 24 seatings, the Chinese manufacturer will create 24 seats of the garden seats outside. Guess who get all those 24 seats? We did, and had also, well, with two more, one to my daughter, one to my son, we still have it. But the encounter and what I have done in China, and by the provision with the service for the Russians, and with our engagement and meeting in Vienna, had helped and guide the Russians. What happens? That they sold their contracts, as I have told them to do, to burn up the 60 million to the other European conglomerates which are working with them. So if they have been able to move that 60 million into 20 contracts, as I told them, take 20 contracts, give them the allowance, walk them into China, purchase or place orders. These are the finest and the highest quality of stone carving. When you're talking about when they're pointing at a marble at that time, in exchange for the granite, or they can ship their own marble into China, into a mantle, the Chinese can replicate the entire mantle. At that time, we all abide by a code of silence. And basically, whatever shit you want, we can do it in China. And by my access to the work in between China and the Chinese products, and being able to place to the Europeans nobility, fake or real, that 60 millions of the Russian money was burned out in less than 10 years. I still can remember the gentleman Ivanova, 100% hostility to whomever. Maybe I'm Chinese, but at the end, I get enough bear hugs that I will never forget. And he's a wonderful interpreter. We speak in both in Spanish and partially in Portuguese, that guide the entire process through for a long 10-year period. And for that 5% of the total amount, I have sold all those contracts to the Chinese buyers of antiquities where they did not have the access to the vault that I have. So life have different turns. From gemstones and minerals, we have ventured into other works where I opened up more work with the Chinese, with Sitik, with the stone agate credit from the Banco de Boa Vista from Rio. Unfortunately, the Tiananmen Square had made those events blocked, but other situations had come along. So what I'm trying to tell you is the pockets opportunity when you're looking at, but what happened now with the AI is absolutely fabulous. Why I'm still capable to translate from a ma and pa $3,000 starter in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, to the global millions of trade through my hands. The products that was unknown, the product was still under a super code of silence because the replication of the carving in China, doing for Europe and doing for all the other major houses around the world, opening another doors and other opportunities like today. So what I would like to do is to continue to stress the big data and the big storage, which is the cloud. Okay, you can think about Alibaba Cloud in the coming months and years, depending who I'm going to jump ship with. Yes, you want to walk Amazon to me? You guys are welcome. I look at the very simple way to do the formula of business. I divide my market, my personal market in my systems into 5 basic linguistic groups. The first group, let's put English. That's not that many. You're summing up Canadians, US, England, all the English colonies. Maybe there's a maximum, maybe about 450 million to 500 million speakers English. But China alone, who are engaged in English alone, is already over 600 million. So to put the first linguistic group in the world, I'm doing franchising based on languages. Let's say I charge $1 a year with the rest of development. So the English group is 1.5 billion. Take 10% first to do the construction of the infrastructure. The second language group is China, 1.4. The third group is 1.4 in India. The next group coming is 1.3 of the Arab nations. The other major group, which I also created, the group called Roman and Latina / Romancina, which is a book, is a search engine, is a dictionary by sound and by image. This Romantina group is much more than this 4, but I put this 4 into the context. Mostly French Africa, North Africa, 600 million French speakers, 400 million Spanish speakers, including Iberia and the Latin America, 300 million Portuguese, that's Brazil and Portugal, plus the Portuguese Africa, including East Timor in Asia and Macau, where I grew up. Altogether, it's coming to almost 6.8 billion of people in the country. But you can put the Romance language, you can add the people from Galicia in Spain, Gallego, the Galicians, you can put Romanians, and also other phonetic sound closer to Italy, to the French, maybe Sardinia, maybe Corsica, okay, where Napoleon was born. If I were licensing to 50 cents per country or $1 per country, I have a 6.7 billion licensing annually, and take 10% of the money to do the development of the AI readiness. And let's put it bluntly, this country to do the assembly of the data work can be China. So we're talking about going forward in the 9+ platforms of the Gemmfiles. You will have the Gem board, as I said, as simple as to take the picture, get the measurement, know the weight, shoot it to the screen. You will find buyers. The buyers who like them, they will find their team to investigate, they will factor in their costs, and they were using their own logistics or any of the global logistics, from other than sea transportation, train transportation, packages, to the use of FedEx, UPS, okay? Even Amazon, who the hell knows? Maybe Jeff Bezos would love to come into this treasure hunt with us. We are now into a future that the Gemmfiles will make our business become legitimate, because you cannot be legitimate when you cannot have accountability. You cannot have accountability when your working system have no efficiency. And to have all that working in synchronicity, the two factor is total transparency and also total integrity. Because once the item you have purchased, you have listed, you may find multiple buyers. And eventually, all the museum pieces will make all the global university and museums dynamic. How? Like say I have a 400 carat aquamarine along with a 600 carat aquamarine rough mineral side by side museum display. If there is a stone find bigger and better or prettier, the other first ones can be put into the marketplace already. In me working, by me have my experience working with a few museums, many times their situation, they have overstock. When you have overstock, the donation by the elderly, by all the museum directors, ambulance chasers, as we call them, after they obtain their objects, they are overloading. What better way than to have it offload by putting your double pieces of people that we have found has become prettier and better into the marketplace by list them in the global auction. The Gem board can help all the museums turn around their overstocks. And I intend to build the Gemmfile system under a nonprofit group system called Educational Foundation Development Corporation. Don't wait till you get rich to donate. Why can we make all the foundations in every single school in and around the world, from kindergarten to American high school, junior highs, to all, and then make a foundation in every city? So the Gemmfile can have a global market reach by people who buy the stone or buy the item, but with the bucket mark. As a vendor, if I'm selling this aquamarine at $40,000, I would donate $10,000 to a specific foundation, maybe my own alma mater, University of Wisconsin at Platteville. I may donate to Madison, Wisconsin, where my daughter went to school. My wife, Kathy, can donate that to the Marquette University. And you can go from the foundation and also to the specific ventures. In my case, it's working with Henry Moy from Beloit College, now the museum, the Red Valley. We can do all this. You can have a mission. You can have that one trip of one high school student exchange abroad, or a college, a specific program will cost between $60,000 to $50,000 for a 4-year into China for a particular excavation or dig. I personally would love to see a team to go back to England and point a finger at Ariel Stein, a known cultural anthropologist, ethnic Jew, had taken all the goddamn documents from Dunhuang on the corridor between China and Tibet and Mongolia. Why? Because when I just discovered the Manchurians did not have a written language, but by their ambition to look into taking over the China, they managed to intermarry to the Mongolians so they can obtain a written language from the Mongols. The Mongols previously had also converted into Tibetan Buddhism, where the Tibetan had also given the written language to the Mongols. Now, this alone, I have no qualm about the looting of the Chinese wealth be that in the summer palace, or be that with this Ariel Stein, the known ethnic Hungarian Jewish cultural anthropologist, what he had taken out of China. But in that particular zone, the history behind the Mongolians, the Tibetans, the Chinese, in those caverns, the thousands of scrolls and documents, we have a much more rich research document for the Chinese. If nothing else, just have all those documents, all film, give the duplicates back to the Chinese for richer research. That's all. History, we all make mistakes. But nevertheless, in order to make the Gemmfile system, I will have to pledge the total nonprofit group of the Educational Foundation. So I don't care, you buy $50, $100 for an item with the blockchain system of the Kava Plus or Kasiva calendar, watermark in the center. So far, I've chosen Singbrush from Boston, an ethnic Russian origin, to do the blockchain. In other words, every transaction now can be checked and double checked. People who are deceiving, lying, cheating will be caught very soon. Maybe I have waited all this 30 plus years. When people come to ask me, Paul, what about your brother who grew faster than you? I have a brother who is 10 years older, wanted to come into my business, become very successful, rightly or wrongly. When I opening up China West in 1991, when I starting to Gemmfiles preparation, how many companies had come up are still here? I was ahead thinking this idea when Google was being established, and then Yahoo, eBay, Facebook, Amazon. It didn't faze me because my focus was searching for this comprehensive handling of the data with the verification process called blockchain. When now I am using every day for the time being in a chat GPT, I post my questions on the pedagogy of the conscience. When I raise the question, is the 2 to 6 paragraphs questions identifying my bits and pieces of a culture. What I'm making is I'm making a tubular, look at the form, the tubular of informations, send it back to ChatGPT, telling them my plan is formulating the pedagogy of conscience. In this tubular, I'm going in from one side, one facet. Lucky, this one facet man have 5 languages. So I roll my context in English, inserted with Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, Chinese, Latin. When the response I got from ChatGPT is from that time zone that I raised the question, mostly about the Opium War, mostly even about the Indian War, the answer coming back to me in a sequence of sorts. Case in point, I just have to show and highlight what I have done with the ChatGPT. There will be a Gemmgpt in my platforms. When I raise the question, one of the most horrific genocidal, not man, but the American bison, the buffalo. After 2 weeks watching the American West documentary, my wife and I have discovered the order of the massacre of the bison, the buffalo in the plains, was expedited ordered by General Grant, President of the US, and his defense minister, Sherman, just so for the purpose in the declaration of war against the Cheyennes, the Lakotas in the plains. The mass murder of the buffalo and the bison is to kill off the food supply to these natives. And by the same thought, the response coming out from the ChatGPT had also identified how Grant had violated his first promised agreement in the Treaty of Laramie. I might be even mistaken on this, giving the land of the Holy Land or the sacred land of the Black Hills back to the natives. But when the white settlers start moving into the Black Hills, when they have found gold, that promise were totally violated. That had led to the killing of the buffaloes so they can force the groups like Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull, cornering them to the region, and eventually I think Crazy Horse had went north to Canada. In between, the blind ambitions of Armstrong Custer in wanting to become competing for the presidency, he took himself more into this battle declared to the natives. Well, where he ended up being killed, as we all know. But what I'm trying to tell you is that by me raising a cluster of questions, not in any form of sequence, but putting that into ChatGPT, I got back the response. Yes, they do respond. Paying respect, admiring what I have starting to develop, the pedagogy of the conscience. And in this dimension, I'm just trying to illustrate to the audience here what we can do with Gemmfiles. It's no longer a one man's effort. And I care not if I become billionaire or not. If I can sell this 800 billion number to 1%, yes, I deserve 1%, 8 billion. Oh, they get too upset? I think 0.5% is still a 4 billion. But the market will right itself. What is more important is that every people in our trade will benefit accordingly, fairly, and the product that we have on our hand will subject its own demand supplied by the Gem Board. And the GemDex will give you the analysis or the language I created 33 years ago. Today, every aspect of it is valid to the terminology of AI. And the most fascinating is the quantum accounting, or quantum tabulation, and quantum computing. And China, by far, is leading the world by that speed. And all this, what I'm trying to tell you, friends, colleagues, future partners, is that we're coming to a time and period where our industry can shine and do so with honesty, with integrity. And I hope you will enjoy this second segment. And I will still try to do this week with 3 to 4 more continuation speaking more specifically about the AI and about how AI can be of great influence to make our industry never have to hide under any rocks. I welcome the technology, and I've been waiting for the longest time to see this moment where industry can be in the open and without any shenanigans. And I can tell you adventures after adventures about giant stones being moved, kilos of diamond being found, and the massacre between tribes, almost like Indiana Jones. These are all real stories. I've enjoyed my adventure, but not just only in Brazil. I have enjoyed my discovery with the lithiums in the region of Chile, Bolivia, Brazil, not in Brazil, but in Argentina. And we'll continue. For those who care to raise questions, you can get my email or even to my cell. I mean, I have listed here, but I will add on to the background. Okay, this is the second segment. I will try to do my third, and I shall repeat what I have said in these segments in both Portuguese and Chinese. So long. Gustavo.